Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Indie Game Movement, the podcast that talks about the marketing and business of indie games. I'm Andrew Pappas. I'm going to be your host today, and we're going to be talking about what to know about tomorrow's audience. So, the next wave of gamers is already here. Students from middle to high school don't just view games as only entertainment, but also as spaces for community, creativity, and leadership. But how do their unique motivations and playstyles translate into the future of game audiences? Well, we're going to find out because in today's episode, we're going to dive into insights from years of someone working with student gaming clubs and esport programs so we can uncover lessons that every game developer and studio should consider. So that's what we're going to be talking about right here today on Indie Game Movement. Hey, everybody, and we're back. And today with us, I have Josh Bound. Josh, how's it going, man? It's so great to have you here on the show.
It's going well. I'm excited. Anytime I get to talk shop on video game clubs is great. It's dope.
Right?
Yeah.
So video game clubs, wait, what? Well, here, we're going to get into it. And first, to do that, for those of you who aren't familiar with Josh, he is the founder and executive director at Video Game Clubs of America for several years now. And you know what, Josh, I'm just going to let you take it and tell us what exactly is Video Game Clubs of America.
Okay. So do you want the elevator pitch or do you want the actual, I can go for hours on this kind of stuff. What do you think? What are you feeling, people?
Well, all right. Well, I think a good
elevator pitch.
Let's go
pitch,
with the elevator pitch.
Right.
But
elevator pitch works like this. We start gaming clubs in schools to connect kids, and we supply resources to schools, to teachers, so that they could promote social skills, life skills, career readiness skills through games, through video games, through board games. Yeah, that's it. There's lots of kids that want to play social games. They don't want to play competitive games. So we supply, our nonprofit is based on supplying them with resources and curriculum to get kids connected on all sorts of levels, regardless of label, regardless of stereotypes, regardless of, and so that's the elevator pitch. So that's the elevator pitch. But if I were to expand that a little bit, I would really talk about building school culture, because the clubs themselves help define school culture, reducing of bullying, attendance rates go up. You just buy into the building. It gives kids reason to be there, and it develops a mentor-mentee relationship with teachers. I mean, teachers want to be teachers and help kids become humans. They don't want to just give them tests, So that's why we exist.
Yeah, and absolutely love it. And, it's really cool and interesting, through a mutual connection that we have. This is how this came about. And the more that I was thinking about, how could this relate to what we're here about and talk about, obviously, on the show, it started kind of connecting and making things. And it was just very clear why I thought this would be a really good conversation. But we're going to get into that in a moment because, clearly you're busy with that. We didn't even get into it, but you're also an educator too, right? You're a teacher?
Yeah. 26. I just started year 26. I'm a public school educator. Our entire organization it consists of 6 teachers and a college intern. We're as grassroots as it gets. Nobody has a paycheck. So yeah, we're looking for volunteers. We're looking for people to help out, push the movement forward. I'm a firm believer in word of mouth advertising. It's the best form of advertising. Because if I sign off on it, I bought into it. So we've earned our spot at number 1 on Google because we have been working, not because of it, and I'm proud of that. I'm actually most proud of that. When you search it, we come up number 1. So I'm excited.
Awesome. Yeah. And like you said, always looking for volunteers because, you're a full-time teacher and you're doing this as well. And so you're always busy. So when you do have some downtime, what are some things you like to kind of unwind a little bit?
Oh, wow. Unwinding. I go to judo on Saturday mornings those are the only hours of personal, I gotta sharpen the saw. Stephen Covey would say, I gotta sharpen the saw, it keeps me going, keeps me moving, that's what I do. But other than that, I live for my kids, I live for my family, I live for the kids in my school. my programs, and we're always trying to help. I'm always trying to connive and find a way to help more kids around this country. And so you got listeners all over the planet. Like, we're in 6 different countries. We're called Video Game Clubs of America, but we're actually heavy board game. We got a lot of board games. We have lots of indie game companies, and this is kind of the overlap here. Recognizing that we have access to markets of students who have never it goes straight to the source, because if we connect our clubs with an indie developer, like right now, there's a game out of California called Social Cipher that is working with one of our middle schools to play test.
Oh,
so
yep.
they're getting real feedback from real kids in the age group they're looking for. And then there's online conversation like, how do you become a game designer? Now we're talking college and careers. Why?
Yeah.
So now some kid who didn't know it even existed now knows it exists, because like, oh wow, it, like the eyes open. So that's what it is.
I love it, because it's like I could see this a little. I could sense this, where even when you're in those moments, your judo class and stuff, it's your time. But then, like you say, you're sharpening that saw, because next thing you know, you go right into it. You get all these
you
so
go
much
right
passion.
back into the fire. Yeah, you go right back into the fire. Like, if I'm not going to do it, who's going to do it?
Yeah,
that's kind of the mindset that I come from. So
awesome.
That's the sports mindset I've grown up with my whole life. So
yeah,
it is what it is.
Sweet. Well, appreciate getting to know you a little bit, but we want to get to know you a little bit more. And how we're going to do that is throw you right into the Q Box round. And folks, for those of you who aren't familiar, the Q Box round is just a few random questions I prepared here for Josh today. So Josh, are you ready for the Q Box round?
I am ready for this Q Box round. I feel like I'm on a radio show. Like, all right, I'm going to win $1,000. I'm win that money right now. Let's go. All right, let's go.
All right. First is, what's the most helpful or impactful advice you have ever received?
Okay, so this is okay. Most helpful advice I received. I had a principal once ask me, "Is the juice worth the squeeze?" That was the quote. Gina Masella, if you're listening, Gina Masella, you deserve credit for that. I don't know where you got it, no idea, but she said, "Is the juice worth the squeeze?" And I interpreted it as like, am I getting out what I'm putting in? Like, or am I going to get out more by putting in? So in other words, don't burn yourself out. Like, grind, but no, you got to be realistic about like, what are we getting out of this, and be purposeful in what we do. So like in all things, I'm extremely purposeful in time management, in allocation of resources in the nonprofit. Like, everything comes down to, are we gonna benefit kids on a whole, on a mass, by investing $500 to go to a convention? I mean, how does going to a gaming convention filled with gamers reach our target audience? And I just literally sat down with this and had this conversation with the major convention that we're not, and I won't name drop, but like a major convention where they wanted me to pay some odd dollars. And I was like, that just isn't in our budget. And what I'm going to get out by doing that is not going to be what I have to put in. So it's what it is. So that's the best advice I've ever given. It's stuck with me. The other one is, are you willing to die on this hill? That's the other one.
Yep.
Are you, I'm sure you've heard this one, right? Is it just worth squeeze? These are the two I go by. Are you willing to die on that hill? Is this fight worth me fighting? And the fight I'm in right now with this conversation, 1,000% is. There are kids all over this country that just don't have a champion. They don't have a spokesperson in their lives. They come to school. They're there for 8 hours. They go home. That's just their norm. So I'm trying to, like I said, try to empower teachers to become like the quiet kid champion, that doesn't get that attention. So maybe we should let's play some games. And then all of a sudden these kids will come out.
Absolutely. And such great principles too, right? And honestly, those examples are, I would say, completely attributable or relatable to a lot of listeners here too, especially the expo one or whatever. But I absolutely love those. All right, next is, what was your childhood favorite game?
All right, so I'm 47 on the record. Okay, so I went to an arcade in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, called the Barrel of Fun. It does not exist anymore, but it was an old school arcade, 9th grade, and I would find myself dumping quarters into 1942 and Arkanoid more than anything. Tron also made the list at the roller skating rink when I was a little kid. But yeah, those are the ones. Tetris, when the NES came out, Tetris became my jam. because I don't know what it was about. It just felt right in the controller, with the controller Tetris. Whereas Arkanoid, the console was the controller was actually like a knob you had to spin to move the thing back and forth.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
yep.
so it was it's very 1942 was top down, and I like the planes, and I'm fast pacing. Those are my jams.
Nice.
Those are the ones.
Love it.
Yeah, those are the ones.
All right,
very specific.
last, and definitely not least, and the staple here on the show is what game are you playing now?
All right, so I don't have time. Remember I said that input output kind of I don't have time. I play what my kids are playing, and that's to relate to my kids so I can justify it. But the games that are dominating my house, Marvel Rivals is dominating my house. But the OG classic is League of Legends. League of Legends. My children have played League of Legends for 8-9 years now, and my daughter started in 3rd grade. Believe it or not, she played Tyler 1 on stage in front of people and tied him. And she was in 8th grade. She's a little blonde girl in 8th grade, 1v1 and the guy. So those are the ones. My daughter just walked me through a Luna Snow origin story from how Luna Snow is in Marvel Rivals. That's because they wanted to open up the Korean markets, and there's XY. It was, again, the lore. I'm down for whatever my kids play. Right now it's Marvel Rivals, and I'm pretty good at Marvel Rivals. I'm just gonna say that. I'll hold my own. So I will not get embarrassed. League of Legends, I'm an embarrassment.
That's a different story.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm an embarrassment.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for letting to get to know you a little.
Did I get the $1,000? Do I get the $1,000? That's the question.
Oh man, I gotta up my game too. It sounds like.
That's right. Yeah, free VCR or something you'll send me, right?
Yeah, free VCR. I'm sure I could find one. Awesome. Well, hey, again, really appreciate that. But now let's get into the heart of this conversation. Cool. And that is, folks, like I said in the intro, what to know about tomorrow's audience. And, I want to kick things off here, right with what we know, is because it's look, you've spent years building these clubs, working directly with students and stuff. And I'm just kind of curious, from all the work and everything else, what makes this generation's relationship with games so different than past ones?
It's interesting being a public school teacher after the COVID pandemic is different than being a public school teacher before the COVID pandemic, and even running this org before and after. This org really took off when COVID blew up. That's when and it's because I get introduced to Discord. And next thing you know, Discord, to get the lore on Discord, the background on Discord, the kids are connecting on Discord, and I'm learning how to control a group of kids and with anonymity now, and they can post what they want. And so the world evolved, and I would break it down as a post-COVID world versus pre-COVID world. So the post-COVID world growing up right now is growing up with video games in everything they own, right? I'm just talking about video games. I know this is a video game, right? But the video game world is dominating because of the technology increase. And I'll go back to COVID. Schools scrambled for Chromebooks, to buy Chromebooks and iPads. There was this oh my God, how are we going to keep these kids in virtual thing, right? And then the cyber school was born after COVID. So COVID had a branch where kids were well, I'm going to stay cyber. Now that we did the COVID thing, I like that. I'll stay home. So now you have in states like mine in Pennsylvania, you have something like 27,000 kids enlisted in the Pennsylvania cyber schools. So they don't actually report to a school. They just do everything online from their house with technology. So I would say that this generation, if I go before COVID and after COVID, is you're used to it. It's all encompassing because the system has advanced itself so much. If you are this before COVID, we didn't have the ability to go like FaceTime everybody and their mother. We didn't have the Discords of the world organizing for a purpose. It was just doing things. But COVID hit and everybody became purposeful on how to really connect people. Even the online gaming world, I'll go back to the first time I played Call of Duty online in 2012 or something. That online changed everything. So now the new norm is not even playing a story mode. That's out the window. They just jump online and then Twitch and Kick gets started.
Yep.
Which and then and there's all the and now so I really think today's audience is younger, and they are the younger ones who are growing up in this. They think quicker. Their attention span is less. They're Snapchat oriented, whereas the people who are like 20 somethings when COVID hit, you're still that kind of like, I can see both sides of it. And again, this is classic generational argument, but I think, like I said, I think that the technology push has really defined it. So the audiences of today, like esports, perfect example, esports blew up when COVID hit because ESPN literally had an esports drop down because it was the only game that was playing. I was coaching a high school esports team, believe it or not, at this time. And again, I'm not a huge proponent of esports. I'm a huge proponent of gaming, right? But esports is the competitive side of gaming. I love the social side of gaming, right? With our video game clubs. Like it's all about social and eating pizza, getting to know each other, X, Y, and Z. The competitive scene blew up because there was no baseball to watch. There's no Olympics. Like you remember the NBA locked everybody in Miami or something, and they all played in the dome. Like it was like this world. But then esports blows up, and everybody's like, oh, this is actually kind of enjoyable. And then this new market is, and then the businesses jumped into it. Well, you're growing up with that mindset of understanding that the 20 somethings from before. It seems like they're a boomer, like you call them a boomer.
Yeah.
You're like, they just don't get it. Like, why would you do that? And now, because I'll talk about streamer friends of mine. I'll give you a perfect example of this. Younger people understand streamers. I'm 47. It took me forever to understand what a streamer, why anybody would even watch a stream. Like it took me forever because I was like, but why?
Yeah.
But what? And then I had someone come to me and go, look, you used to watch TV back in the day, right? I go, yeah. You used to watch sit down Tuesday nights or whatever it was, Friday nights or whatever. And they're like, yeah, that's essentially what streamers are doing, except they interact with you live. So it's just a new version. And old folks, it's hard to let go of something that they've grown. I'm a 90s kid. I remember the world with no internet, right?
Yeah.
So I just think the technology push and I really at COVID, 2020, man, it's 30 years from now, they're going to do studies on the change, and it's going to evolve around technology and access technology, which has caused this great divide, which is why video game clubs exist. Video game clubs in America exists because there are so many kids that do not have the internet in their homes. They do not have access to technology. Esports has a massive problem in that kids don't have PlayStation 5s to play on at their house to practice. So you can't be like a football sport because if it was football, you would stay here, we would football it. But esports, you go home and you practice. But if you don't have the internet or your internet isn't up to speed,
right?
What are you practicing?
It's interesting too,
it's
because
a logistical thing.
Those different dynamics. Because it's like all these things are, I think, trending up to begin with, and then it just like blew
100%.
Out of the water with
Yes.
COVID. But then you still have the accessibility. There's more accessibility, but there's still less at the same time. And
that's a really interesting point you just made there. Yes, you're 100% right about that because we are more aware of the inaccessibility of people. We weren't even talking about it before.
Yeah,
we are more aware of it, but it still exists. But what are we going to do to change that?
Yeah.
Are we going to have, what's Elon Musk's space net thing that he flies over?
Starlink.
Yeah. Is he going to rock that over West Virginia? Because someplace in West Virginia, you don't even get radio signals.
Yeah.
Like this is a for real statement.
Yeah. So it's interesting. Yeah, it is a very interesting dynamic because in a world where a majority of us, I'd say, or a good portion are relatively connected, if you will, there's still that aspect of it. And I know to some extent, in previous episodes, we've covered that to some extent where we're talking about, let's say, developer communities and such and outliers. I know we had one guest that was from Brazil where we were talking about, hey, how do you work with something like that? So, well, yeah, it really relates a lot.
Yeah, but keep going. Sorry.
No, that's right.
Can I jump in real quick?
Go right ahead.
So like an offshoot of this, like COVID and the awareness of like these subreddits, sub lines in the Discord chats where these people are so uniquely interesting by themselves. You have indie developers now have a target audience they have access to because of this new technology that exists. No longer is it like just mainstream. You can actually write a video game for a kid who's autistic, who is like, and your entire game could be geared towards this one little section of society, and it could be life-changing.
Yeah.
You know, it could be life-changing. So I think that's an advantage that's occurring naturally. We don't have our hands around the impact of it. It is happening.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. And speaking of that, I want to kind of like dive in a little bit to the like, you know, engagement and motivation side of things too, because I mean, that totally relates with what you were just saying. You know, to kind of start on that, I'm also curious too, how do you see students approach games socially, maybe compared to older audiences? I know you alluded to some things earlier a moment ago.
Yeah, older audiences remember, I just had this the other day. I was talking to a friend of mine, and older audiences remember putting a quarter on the machine to save the next game.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Are you old enough to remember this?
I do.
I don't know if
Yep.
you are. Okay, so you used to put your quarter, then like dibbed it up. Like I got nixed.
Yep.
I got because right. But that's the thing of the past. These younger audiences, I think they're becoming so used to having so many styles of games that they're overloaded. The uniqueness of video games is going away. How about that? Like, I think that there's so many versions of a game, of a thing, right? How many first person shooters can you have? Let's be real. Like, how many, and I'm just not going to say in first person shooter because that's easy to understand. Like, how many first person like Call of Duties can you honestly have?
Right.
Before it wears out? I mean, I can name 6, right? I can name like 6 different versions of the same thing.
And at the like even platformers too. That's another big one.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Even platformers. And so like they're wearing out. So what's happening is these new kids, this is quite comical. In my own club where I teach, they're like, dude, did you see this game? And they pull it up and it literally is like Pac-Man 2. It's the same game as like Ms. Pac-Man came out is what it is. Like, that's all it is. It's just a rebranded version of, but to them, that's all new. So I think there's like this cyclical thing, like their games have been around so long that they're just regurgitating older games into a newer skin. And people are like, oh, it's amazing. But I think the uniqueness of games is, and that's why I really like board games. Board games play within a definitive set of rules. Video games, it's kind of open because you can get to the end by killing that zombie, then jumping off this bridge, or I could go this way. The board games, it's defined. And so the amount of work an indie developer goes in for a board game is just a different ask. And so like I have a hard time sitting down for board games because I have like an ADHD thing going on or whatever it is. But like I appreciate really solid board game design these days more than video game design, because it looks all like Valorant, Overwatch, Valorant and Overwatch, Marvel Rivals. They're the same game.
Yeah.
They're the exact same game. Like, so,
yeah.
So how do you become new? How do you become unique? I don't know.
It's an interesting point. And I mean, I know too, like sometimes, part of that too, and I'm just using from personal experience, like my son, for example, and even my daughter, when they're playing games, especially on Roblox of all things.
Oh yeah.
There's always, it's always like, I notice the behavior on the PlayStation, on Roblox or whatever, they're always looking for a different kind of experience. And it could very much be still, it's a survivor type game. It's this other game that's basically platforming, but it's almost like something new. And like you said, like reskinned, if you will. And it's always, I see more of that now. Again, that could just be a behavior of my kids, but I imagine that's part of it too, where there's a lot to work with, and especially at a young and impressionable age, they don't know exactly what they want, but they just know they want a lot of different things.
Yeah, which is interesting. So you just made me think about the movie Pixels, right? You remember Pixels?
Yep.
So Adam Sandler sits down, I forget the child actor's name. He sits down, he's like, "What's the problem? Like, what's the point of this game?" He's playing his like shooting zombies game. He's like, "I don't know, just survive. Like, there is no point to this game." And Adam Sandler's like, "Bro, it's about the high score. It's about the patterns. You got to memorize the patterns. This isn't a game. What are you doing? You're just running around shooting stuff. That's not a game." And like, there's this like generational problem of the definition of what a game is, because the kids that are growing up playing open world Legend of Zelda, of Hyrule Warrior, or whatever, like you're just, or Monster Hunter, or where there is no like real, or like there isn't a real end. You just keep going forever.
Yeah.
What is their understanding of a game versus the kid who only plays Madden and the only thing that matters is dominating someone?
That's a really good point. And I'm curious too, because in that vein, I mean, do you find that, like, let's say competitive play, like esports, or even just good, you just said Madden,
competitive, yeah.
Could you see that as maybe potentially a bigger driver? Or is it more that students are maybe a little bit more motivated by, like, let's say casual or community driven experiences, or does it depend?
I think it's all situational, and in reality, everything's a balance. Like, you try to make everything in balance. Like, what's that Confucius quote about? Like, everything within balance is what we strive for. But the reality is there are still some norms that are horrible from the 90s that are still going on. For instance, disconnected parents. I'm going to go to this part of it. There are kids who are put in front of a video game and they're just in their room by themselves. Just existing in an online world with people and that could be either really good or really bad.
Right.
And that's why Roblox always takes this flack, because is it actually a 12-year-old playing on the other end of that thing? Or is it some 55-year-old man? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's just a different kind of thing. So I think it's situational, but if you, like I said, if what we do at Video Game Clubs of America is we say, hey, teacher, you have all these kids in the room who don't really understand social skills, right? Mm-hmm. They just play games. They're the kids that don't fit into any one group, but now they have a group because they're gamers. And I just did air quotes for everybody listening. All right. So they're gamers, right? They're gamers. So when they walk in, they know that the people around here are like them. So they're less likely to eat lunch alone. So now you've impacted the kid's daily life just because you're hosting a game, a club. Yep. And like, the teacher doesn't actually have to know games. And that's the other thing is, like, there are so many games. How can I be a master of all of them? Right. Roblox alone probably has like 7,000 different games just in Roblox.
Yeah. And all different, you could classify it in different genres and everything else, of course. Yep.
Yeah. I just saw it on the front page of the newspapers today about some sort of shooting game that's under fire. Like, it is what it is. It's the world they live in.
Yeah. In light of that too, I mean, yeah, it totally makes sense that it's case by case, but like, maybe going a little bit deeper, do you like see that there's like, what kind of role would you say, identity or even belonging have in the way maybe students choose some of these games too? Because I mean, that's probably a big part of it too. Yeah. Yeah. And you mean like you mean like how they go about finding a title kind of thing, or like what games they choose to play? Like, which line are we? I would say more on not necessarily as much as discoverability or how they're finding a title, more about what some of the motivations behind playing some of these experiences. Why are they playing? Yeah. Personalization. I can give you relatability. I can give you 15 stories right now without even trying, without really thinking about them, where kids are like, I connect with the character. And this is actually big for the indie game. I know you're like, this is an indie game podcast. Yeah. Like, this is your focus podcast. Like, this is huge for them because, again, like I said earlier, because they can identify that one type of kid in the room, right? Like, that's into the lore or into the art. Yep. I know people that have just played the game for the art. They play their games. My friend Mike, he'll tell me about, I play this open world game that I have never heard of because he likes the Japanese in style art and he likes the storyline and the music feels right. Like, there's so many different reasons why a person will play, but it all comes back to like relatability and like impressionability. Games like Madden are only relatable to sports kids. Yeah. Kids who have dads and moms that are like, football is important or baseball is important. Sports games, I'm actually quite shocked that they still exist, to be honest, because like if you're playing the game, why are you not playing the sport? It's like a real thing. This is a real thing. Right. And then there's the fanciful part of it. Well, I want to be Aaron Rodgers or I want to be, Josh Allen. I get that. That's an interesting point too. Yeah. Cause keep going. No, go. No, I was going to say, cause anytime I grew up, like, I hated sports games. I played hockey. I played hockey, right? And then I played the only sports games hockey that I liked was Blades of Steel and I think Nintendo Hockey. Because of the fighting, right? The fighting. Somebody. Yeah, because you weren't fighting people actually in hockey, but you wanted to. So the fanciful part of it. Yeah,
All of a
but
sudden, you're Bob Probert out there. You're Bob Probert. You're throwing bombs against Ty Domi.
yeah.
You know, like I'm
And
giving sports references, people, in case you're wondering. Okay, those are hockey references for Andrew. Those are hockey references. All right, Detroit, Toronto. Look up your history.
okay.
Yeah.
And then and NBA Jam. I think those are the only sports games I ever really enjoyed and liked. But anything else that was like more serious, I could never get into them. I felt like I didn't have the control. And then it was that the conundrum essentially where that going back, it's like I'd rather play a game of pickup ball. And that's just me, but still, it's like.
But it comes back to that parenting issue.
Yes, exactly.
That it comes back to that, like, are you there for your kid? And again, a lot of these, like the kids that I deal with, come from all sorts of scenarios, and again, they're all going to be consumers of product. That's the guarantee in life. They're all going to be consumers of product. And so when I'm like, hey, we start video game clubs, and people laugh, I go, you realize that they are going to have jobs with savings accounts. Like, they're going to have checking accounts, and they're not going to leave their house much. Lots of them won't go on vacations. They're not the trendy kids who are going to go on vacation. They're going to buy the 6090 Ti graphics card for $12,000, the founders edition, right?
Yep.
So we're breeding consumers in this world. And I guess, like I said, the indie games have this sweet little spot because everybody is aware of gaming now. Whereas in the 90s and 2000s, dude, you were a joke. Like, it was a joke to play video games a lot. Like, it was really, you're like, really? Don't you have any friends? That's the comment you would get. That's the comment you would get next.
Go outside, do something.
Yeah.
Make
GoldenEye,
friends.
Yeah. Like, I played GoldenEye in college with my friends. GoldenEye needs more love. I'm just going to say this to you. GoldenEye needs more love because it is the first 4-player game that random dudes in college would sit down and play. That's 4 screens, screen cheat, know they're screen cheating, and still have a good time playing it. So it became a social game. GoldenEye was because it was essentially online, but it was just 4 players. Anybody who references GoldenEye knows GoldenEye is going to go, I remember the 4-person box.
Oh, I do.
And then screen cheating and like, oh, he's got the golden gun. You better run.
Bad memories.
Yeah. And so like that moment with that is what the new gaming world is.
Yeah.
I have a set of friends that I met online. We all go to MagFest, or we all go to PAX East, or all go to, Gen Con together, and we meet up. And that's the one time we're going to see each other all year. But then I'll see you online next Tuesday night when we're playing Dungeons and Dragons. Like, this is the new world order. That's what this is.
Let me ask you this before we get into another area. Yeah, part of what I was thinking that we could try to uncover, and again, it's not like my intent to do this, but it's like understanding, are there like really big generational differences and things like that? And honestly, it's not really my plan to go deep into that. But from what I'm hearing, from what you're sharing and stuff, it sounds like, yes, of course, there's going to be some instances of generational differences, but it sounds like it's more about, because of the way the technology has been way more accessible in general. And then, but at the same time, these core motivations aren't really much different. There might be some nuance and differences, but otherwise it doesn't sound like a whole lot is changing.
We still play games. Play at its nature is the origin story of humanity. Like, it is play. So I don't care what animal on the planet it is, there is an ounce of play at some facet of. Watch baby tigers come to life. They're going to be rolling around in some sort of environment. They're going to be wrestling with each other. They're going to be higher ordering it, because that's all play does for us. It's like grades in school. All grades do in school is say who's awesome and who's not. That's all grades do. It has no impact on life. Your grades in high school and middle school have no impact on the outcome of your life, because I know people that have absolutely failed high school, and they're unbelievably wealthy and doing great because they had an internal drive and an opportunity was presented to them. So like, play is learning how to fit in with the group, how to be part of what is the structured environment. And in my scenario, it's schools. And so when you encourage play, like, I don't know if you know or not, but in high school, there's no recess. Middle schools and high school, recess is done. Like, they don't.
Gym is closest thing.
Gym isn't recess. Gym is definitely not recess. You know what I mean? Like, recess was like, no, we're just over here because we're just going to hang out. Like
Yeah.
recess is, well, that's what play
The
is.
staff
And I
needs a
think,
break.
yeah, right. Yeah, the related arts teachers, they are the literally woven in breaks for the English teacher. Yeah, so I'm a social studies teacher. I get it. And so like the idea of play is just so ingrained in the evolution of us. And again, if you look at like that animal reference, if you look at a group of dogs, pack up little, I got pit bull puppies in my mind. I have a pit bull here. Like, you got all these, there's going to be one runt that is the quote unquote, the runt, right?
Yeah.
Like there's going to be the alpha and there's going to be this hierarchy, and it naturally occurs because that's just the way animals and humans are basically built. So the school system reflects that. In the top 10% get the attention, and the bottom 10% get out, and the rest of the middle just kind of exist. And that's the pack, that's the group. You're part of the group. So what we want to do is rewrite that, reframe that through video games, through games, so that these kids who are at the bottom realize they have value and their confidence goes up.
Yep.
And once you get some confidence, you're not going to get picked on so much. Like I played hockey in college. I play hockey, play lacrosse in college. Like I remember being terrified of a guy named Steve Corbin. I'll be honest. I was terrified of a guy named Steve Corbin on my ice.
Steve,
he
if
was
you're
like,
listening.
Steve. Oh yes. I love this guy. He wants to come to my wedding. When Steve was on the ice, you better have your head up. He was that guy.
Yeah.
He was that guy. You know him.
Yep, I know.
He was that guy. And so one time we're playing Georgetown and a fight breaks out. Of course, Steve's in the middle of it. And I grabbed the next guy in by his face mask because I don't know what I'm doing. Grab this guy, throw him against the wall, and forever changed my relationship with Steve at that moment, because I was part of the group and I had an opportunity to help Steve not get jumped by three dudes. I grabbed one of them. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
That's all play is.
Yeah.
It just helps.
And you
us
have that level of
establish-
confidence too.
And I had that confidence to go, well, you know what? I got to do what I got to do. Confidence. And so Steve is, if you're out there, Steve, you're the man. Just so you know that.
In that confidence vein, and something else that you mentioned before, which I think is really interesting and really key here, I think, for a lot of the people listening, is your call out to indie games in terms of what they're doing now, what they're able to do. And I think kind of somewhat helps with this, the more we understand about these motivations behind players, especially this younger generation, where we can really dive into these niches, right?
Yeah.
And these concepts, themes, like things that, bigger studios are definitely capable of doing, but they're not doing it. They're not doing it. They don't have the infrastructure and everything else at place.
Or they have stockholders, shareholders that they
there's so many other things. But with like indie games, it's like, again, I think I've said this or articulated it in various different ways, but I love how you're calling it out here too, in the fact that this is something you're seeing from these younger audiences, right? That they are identifying these things and stuff. It's like, oh, these are areas, especially as it relates to identity, is like these are areas where everything as simple as the aesthetics, the art style, down to any other elements and characteristics of these games are really shining through and catering to them. So I just find that really interesting too, because I know sometimes, and myself included, when we're like analyzing some of these things or trying to think more, we think like, oh, it's always a means of like breaking it out and everything else. And to some degree it is, but really it's kind of really simple if we look at people or these players as people essentially.
Exactly. And that's the thing is like, if you're talking about, you just use the word breaking out, right? Like if you're an indie game designer, right? And you're like, oh, I've got this great idea. And you don't realize that your great idea is rehash something else because you've never played something else, but your great idea, and you're grinding, you're making your own, you're grinding. Like my son has a whole universe he's been building for like 3 years now called Square Mageddon. Believe it or not. Yeah. And he wants to bring that to market, and he's got this, and we're working through these, what's the lore and whatnot. And I think you have this opportunity to really, like I said, to really connect and be unique, because when you really break out, look, in lacrosse, I got my coach's attention because I slid and I made the hit. I got it. I got my coach's attention. That dude's going to do what it is. Steve Corbin, I got Steve Corbin's attention because I slid and I was unique in that moment. And and indie games have that same opportunity to truly be unique and new. Like, remember I started at the beginning, like, what's the problem? dude, games are boring. Lots of these games are just, Overwatch, Valorant,
like the shooters thing you're
dude,
saying.
come
Yep.
on, man. Like, give us something new. And again, I understand there's money involved. And once you start talking about money, becomes, is it a passion project or are you here for the dollar bills? I think that's really the indie game kind of thing, because there are lots of cool indie games out there. There are the most simple games I've ever played at some of these gaming conventions. They're absolutely artistically simple. They're fundamentally simple. There's one where you're just fencing. I forget the name, but you're fencing with a guy, and the goal is to get left or get right. And you've got to like sword fight a guy. You got to sword fight a guy. You can throw your sword, and they're just going to run. And if they stumble, then you steal the ball and you go back this way. And dude, that's the most fun game to play with somebody, because it doesn't actually mean anything. Like, there's no scoreboard. It's like, hey, I did that. You did a nice job. Whatever. And so like indie games have that opportunity to really push unique.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I
think too, it's like you can really distill it down to having that vision, but aligning that vision with the proper intent, right?
Yes.
And then on top of it too, it's not so much about, geez, I lost my train of thought for a second, but it's that vision, that intent, and just some like being mindful of those things too, because
I think at that point, I think you have the responsibility as someone creating something for someone else. If I'm building you an engine, right, for your car, like you have a car and I'm building an engine, I have a responsibility to put my best effort into building the engine for you and making it run to sell you the car. So that makes it I have that responsibility. As a game designer, you're putting a product forward and you're getting judged on it. And if you're being irresponsible with like, why am I doing this? Big question. Who am I trying to target? Big question. What is again, juice squeeze? Are we going to get out what we put in? And you're not thinking 6 months, 7 months, 8 after you launch, you're being irresponsible. And I think like you as like these indie projects, they have the freedom to be, okay, I really want to impact this community, whether it's trans, whether it's autism, whether it's just LGBT, LGBT, like whether it's whatever. I have the ability to dive in that pool hard because I'm not beholden to the man over there that has to do Marvel Rivals.
Right.
If that makes any sense to you. So I think that's kind of where it falls down. And I really hope some indie developers are out there listening, because I'm in the trench with kids. Like, you have to understand my perspective. I'm a guy that works with dudes in trenches, dudes and dudettes in trenches with kids. We don't work with school systems. I work with schools and teachers in schools. Yeah. I'm not bringing on the entire state of New Jersey. No, I'm bringing on your brother's kid's school. And this teacher is going to run a club, and I'm going to help them get it started. And then they're going to run it their own way, because that's how it fits their building. Yeah. Like we are a direct if this were World War I, I would be the sergeant and I'd be in the trench looking at the guns, and I'd be the guy that's got to go, all right, boys, we're going up and over. Here's why we're going to go up and over. Yeah. I'm not the guy way in the back. Right. Right. It's just going, on a map, it looks great. Indie games, you're the sergeant, bro. Yeah. You decide what we like. Yeah. You decide what product we actually see. Because it's amazing. You have an amazing opportunity.
I think that's such a great analogy there too, and something to really think about and consider. Like, I like that a lot, because I don't know. I haven't heard anything quite like that. And it's a great way. It's like, I think that's the reason why we see the experiences that are overcome. We see these like indie titles that over time are becoming significantly huge, super giant. Yeah. Look at Team
Shovel
Cherry.
Knight. Remember Shovel Knight when it was just like
Shovel Knight,
when it was a brand new thing, and it was like Shovel Knight, or even like any of them. Oh, it's a Shovel Knight. Oh, okay. But then it's like no, or even like Cuphead. Yeah. I say to you, Cuphead. Is Cuphead an indie game? Oh. Well, it probably was at one point.
Yeah, right.
And so, I mean,
and then it goes up for discussion now because indie's so subjective.
Yeah. Well, but Cuphead just is rage. Just, Hey, if I say you Cuphead, you should start going, oh God,
In light of all this too, I'm curious, like, lots of different conversation stuff all around like this core idea, but like, how would you say, like, developers, people listening, can kind of use maybe some of these insights we discussed to kind of either better market or connect with these future audiences, I guess. I mean,
I think you should ask them. I think you should call me. I think you should get in contact with me. Shameless plug, here comes. I think you should get in contact with me just like Social Cipher did, and I'll find you a home to work with. If you're honestly an indie game developer out there and you're like, hey, I've got a game that's science related and I'm looking to see what high school thinks, I can make that happen. And there will be a caveat and there'd be a discussion. Obviously, you know, games have to be within this playable social, you know what I mean? Like some norms, but like, you know, we're not playing Mortal Kombat 10 here, you know, like that. That game's not going to get played, but like, you know, the Social Cipher storyline, like in the X, Y, and Z, like, feel free to hit us up. I'll gladly put you in front of some people, and then, or, you know, and they can maybe put your game in front of kids and you want real feedback, ask a kid. You want to know how you're doing? Ask a kid.
Or my daughter.
They have no stake in the game. They have no stake in the game. They'll be like, no, your game sucks. Your game sucks. Here's why your game sucks. I'll tell you exactly why your game sucks. It lags on this PC. It does this. You don't think it does, but I'm showing you video. It does. Like, there are lots of game design courses that are being drawn into school systems as well from an educational point of view, which these guys might not know about, like STEM education, STEAM education, STEM, science, technology, engineering, math, or STEAM, science, technology, engineering, art, and math are words that there's even STREAM now because writing is involved, but that's an R, a W, whatever. The point is that like there are lots of school systems across this country that have game design courses that our school district does. And it's literally how to design a board game. Well, that's how they start. They start in board games. And then some of them go, here's a game design. We're working in Roblox Studio because Roblox Studio is free. Or here is one because they're learning the Lua language, which is what Roblox written in.
Yep.
Or they're learning like Python and C++. Like those, they learn those things, but they don't have real application. Like, I get it, but like, so what? I made the square move across the screen. I'd much rather make asteroids. So like, that's where schools are starting to go, let's design basic games dude, I have third graders in Scratch making games in elementary schools. So if there's an indie game company out there that is interested, hit me up, man. Cause I'd gladly talk shop. Again, we are here for teachers to get resources. And if you have the ability for them to be, this is what I'm saying to you, because we teach leadership in our clubs, like leadership. I, a high school teacher, would say to my student leadership, we have this company, you need to jump in a call with them. We got a call scheduled during Mentor. We're going to talk it through. You're going to ask some questions, and then we're going to implement it and have our kids play and get them real feedback. That's just a leadership opportunity a kid never had before.
Yeah.
And all you're doing is jumping on a Zoom call.
Yeah.
And giving us some stream codes, because that's, you know, most schools are iPad based or they're Google Chromebook based. They don't have, just Chromebook, I guess you should call it now. Most of these schools don't have gaming PCs to play these big games. They have Chromebook and they have iPad. So those are the two. Like, just be aware of that.
Yeah. No.
Shameless plug.
And it's over now. It's all good, but like, you know, I think there's a lot of, you know, interesting and great opportunities here because here's my perspective. I know at times I've worked with clients before and they're like, oh, well, we think that one of our targets or definitely a secondary target's going to be kids. And my answer to them in a lot of cases is usually, you know, target the parents, but make them, you know, accessible in a way that they could, you know, share that experience and be confident in the experience with their kids.
Love what you just said.
But like this adds a whole new level too, because it's like, there's only so much that you could do, because sometimes, you know, you and I've been in the situation. Oh, hey, honey, or hey, you know, whatever. Children be like, I think you're gonna like this, like, and they're like, but because it's coming from you, they're
oh yeah, it's great.
Yeah,
it's great.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's great.
Thanks, Dad.
No, but like, I'll liken it to this. So my daughter just got her driver's license, right? I just telling you, in Pennsylvania, you got to be on a driver's license for 6 months as a permit.
Yep.
Well, someone has to sit in the car.
Yep.
So guess what the shared experience is for the next 6 months for multiple minutes a day? Guess what? You're teaching them life skills. Even if it's playing video games, I literally started this whole thing because my son is on the autism spectrum. You can watch a TED talk on this, people. Josh Bound /TED. It'll pop up. 20 This is in 2019. And what happened was I realized he could connect with me through Mario Kart, and he wasn't going to play sports. That's how this started. And I started teaching him everything about winning and losing through Mario Kart. That's what happened. And that's legitimately what happened. There's one story I always say, and I'll tell you, this is like the life skills. So if you're looking at games, I know you have an indie game kind of following. So that is, I'm preaching to the choir right now, but this is something you should share out to the world. I taught my son how not to be a jerk and why he shouldn't be a jerk and talk trash. And the things that will happen if you run your mouth. This is what he did to me. Ready? We're playing Mario Kart. He's 5 years old.
I can relate to this.
Play Mario Kart. Everybody can listen and knows this. You're playing Mario Kart. We're right up on the screen. The screen is like right in front of us, and we're driving, and he beats me. And he looks at me, and this is what he says to me. He goes, and I'm quoting, "Dad, you're so bad at this game." That's what he says to me.
That sounds like
my autistic son says, "Dad, you're so bad at this game." And I was like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "You're so bad. You're so slow." Just blunt. And I was like, what? My brain, now the competitive dad jock shows up. I was wearing a North Carolina baseball hat. I was like, oh yeah, run this back, kid. And I turn my hat on backwards. I'm like, oh, it's on now. So we run the same lap back, same car, same everything. I was like, you're going to get this time. He's beat me the whole time. He's better than I am. I'm sitting on a red turtle shell the whole race. I don't wreck him. I sit on the. You're about to learn, kid.
He doesn't wait for the three. He just wants that one.
I don't. It's got the one red turtle shell, and I wait until he's about to hit the line, and I launch this thing. It wrecks him within sight of the line, and I pass him, and I drop the controller, and I was like, "What's up now?" And I start talking all sorts of trash, like unapologetic, like. So then he goes upstairs and is angry.
Yeah. And
I go upstairs afterwards and I calm down. He calms down. I go, do you understand what just happened? I didn't like what you did. And we're processing emotions.
Yeah.
We're processing emotions. I didn't like what you did. And these are life skills. And then he says to me, I said, why did I do what I did to you? And he said, because I said something mean to you the one before. I go, there it is. If you're going to run your mouth and you're going to talk trash and tell someone they're bad, but then they beat you, you cannot act like you just acted. Like life skill. And to this day, he remembers it. To this day, he remembers it. So like parents are missing out on these opportunities just because it's a game. Dude, there's so many opportunities.
Yeah.
But
and I think there's a really cool lesson in there beyond at its core and what you just shared in terms of those types of experiences and everything else, and how we're being mindful of the types of experiences that were created. Yeah. I mean, we don't have to go above and beyond. It can still be a simple, basic experience, a type of game, simple mechanic. At the core, it just needs to be fun. But then what really comes out is all these other moments, these shareable moments. Like sometimes the best moments that we have in games have nothing to do with the games themselves.
Nothing to do with the game at all.
But it was because of that. Like a big one for me has always been two games in particular, and I won't go into the stories, but Chrono Trigger, and another one is Final Fantasy VII. And with Final Fantasy VII, it's because it was a game that just brought friends together. And to this day, that same group of friends, I'm still very good friends with and stuff, right? And it's like thinking outside of the box like that. Yeah, we're getting a little subjective and abstract here, but still, it's those kind of things that keep us together.
Not really. We're not really, because these kids are growing up with games on literally every screen they have.
You're right. Phones.
So that's what I'm saying.
Tablets.
Like, it's not outside the 5, 6, 7 years ago, it was like, wow, what you're doing is revolutionary. Now it's like, dude, they all play games.
Right. So how do you stand out? That uniqueness, all those other
uniqueness. Yeah, you have a line, and you stay and you grind your line, and that's what you do. And you stay true to your vision, and you don't sell out.
Yeah. You know, before we start wrapping up a little bit, I'm just curious, like, what do you think this like generation values most when it comes to the games that they support, like these younger generations, right? Is it really gameplay, community, representation, or
laughter? It's laughter. It's laughter. It is absolutely laughter. It is laughter. It's laughing at people. It's laughing with people. It's laughing about people, about things. This Gen Z or whatever Gen Alpha they're calling themselves. Not like, come on now. Think of your own. Come on. The Gen X in me is like, think of your own thing, people. Come on. Letters, stop it. But they value laughter and the ability to disconnect through it. That's what they value. because their life is so serious everywhere else. Because now the technology does exist, they're always on the clock. I have students that, oh, it's due by midnight tonight. Okay, ready for this?
Yeah.
I don't know how old you are, but do you remember back in high school and you had a teacher say to you, oh, it's your homework, right? It's homework,
Yep.
right? When would it be due for you?
Like the next day, show up in
The
school.
next
or
day?
whatever,
No,
yeah.
it's due by midnight tonight, or it's a 0.
Yep.
So you now have a generation of kids growing up that 11:30 is still working. That's what
Didn't even
that's
think
what
about
happens.
it that way.
That's what happens. So that now they're always on clock. So they're looking for games that they can go, cool. That's why Fortnite is still prevalent,
Yeah.
because it has no value. It's just, I'm just gonna get in detox by shooting and playing Snoop Dogg, like whatever. I'm gonna go to a concert in Fortnite tonight.
But I think that's so interesting though, in a way to look at it is laughter, and
well, that's the memes. It's the memes,
right? But
that's what I'm getting at.
But still, if we like break that down a little bit further, I don't want people to maybe just directly associate like, oh, strictly straight up comedy, right?
No.
Exactly. But
no, it's not. No, it's not that. It's like it's group laughter. Like right now, there are memes. I don't even know if they're appropriate to say, so I'm not going to say them on this podcast. But like, there are memes that I'll say, and people will be like, "Stop it." Because you're old, you shouldn't be saying that. Like, it's not your generation to say that. Like, there's a whole thing called Italian brain rot.
Yes.
And it's have you heard? That's where the skippity toilet guy and all that stuff. It's tongue Sahur guy. And like, they have this whole language based on, did you see that meme? Oh, that was hilarious. And then they share this moment.
Yeah.
And then they'll all walk around doing the, I'm doing the 6, 7, whatever.
And I think that's exactly it though. It's when you say laughter, yes, that's a big component of it, but it's really comes down to no different than what we talk about just in different capacities and ways previously here on the show, but these shareable moments. What are they? And I would say when you get to shareable moments, each generation is probably going to have their own. I mean, just look at the ages of, YouTube, right? Like that's a classic example where memes are born and stuff. It's all those shareable moments. And it's interesting because if you think that connects so many different levels of games, we're PC games, console games, whatever
you said
else.
You said it yourself, you're like Final Fantasy VII. All my friends, dude, you connected and you're still friends with them.
Yeah.
And like, that's the reality. And so like now today's world is, what do you do? And this is why these gaming clubs are important. What do you do with the kids who don't understand the meme? They don't get it. They're not comprehending it. But the cool kids are all running around saying this thing. So like, what are they talking? I don't understand. And so like you as the mentor, you create a fair playing society because you're playing board games with each other. Now they can get to know each other and share the memery and the references that made it funny in the first place. Or why it,
or new ones are even being created.
Yeah, like the Coldplay thing, right?
Yeah.
I said you Coldplay. That's them. That is, they're like, oh, you got Coldplayed. Oh, like, you know what I mean? Like the guy in Georgia just got Coldplayed because he was at a game and he called it sick. Like, okay, so that's a new style of language for them.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, it's all interesting.
But it is because. Again, we can distill it down to these things, and I think by doing so,
shareable moments,
it really helps us understand these things a lot. And I'm learning a lot too just by like having this conversation. Looking ahead and considering all this, like, what advice would you give to indie developers just trying to design, with tomorrow's players in mind?
I would ask every indie developer to look up, and it's called the CASEL standards. CASEL is CASEL. CASEL standards. Okay. They are the preeminent social emotional learning goals for life. There's something called the 5 core competencies. And again, I say it again, CASEL 5 core competencies. If you Google that, you'll see a wheel, and it is self-awareness, responsible decision-making, social, it's how to make a human being. And if you target your game we're focusing on responsible decision making. Do you know how many games are based on responsible decision making? Like honestly, think about the time you play Dungeons and Dragons and you always have that one guy that makes the worst decisions for the entire group. He's being irresponsible. How do I feel about that guy? You know what I'm saying? Like he's comical, but it's getting old, dude. We need to win the
Right.
game. Come on. So
I
like,
mean, that's true.
please, indie games, at least know the verbiage, castle standards, because if you're going to connect educators, and this is kind of how you can judge an educator, if they aren't aware of the castle standards, you got to ask how hard are they into making kids human beings. I'm just going to say that.
Yeah.
Because most educators won't know the castle standards. They'll know, oh, we have to make decisions and make positive decisions. Great, they'll know that, but they won't know the organized blend behind that push. Castle has been around, dude, for a long time. They're based out of Chicago. They have a yearly convention. I would hope that most of your listeners who are indie game developers have at least Googled that to see the wheel, because if you target those things,
Well,
you connect with education 101.
Yeah,
That's
but
what I'm saying to you. And it also brings you into the educational sphere, which is marketability, which is a viability to be used in a school. I'm going to say this to you, listeners, indie game developers. There are 200 some odd thousand schools in America. I'm just throwing that at you.
Yeah.
And if your game can get past that front door, I'm just saying.
Not even that. Like, we're gonna have to cut this short.
Sure, no, go for it. Go
but
for
like,
it. I can talk about that. You know, this,
I know, but like, when you're talking about these castle standards, and I know you're definitely the lens you're applying it from because of your background and everything else.
Yeah.
But what as you're talking about it, I'm like, wait a minute, these are really kind of interesting things. One, I've talked to numerous people, including a good friend of mine, where one of his key things when he's wanting to make games, he's like, I really want to make a game that's educational but doesn't have that educational label. Because the second a student or a kid or younger audience or anyone, I don't want to play an educational game, right? But there's elements of these things, and I see developers and games all the time where, how are we doing this? We're doing it from a cultural perspective. We're doing it from an ecological one. There's so many different cool themes and stories, narratives around these concepts that are important to us, right? But then I'm thinking with even a standard of something like Castle and understanding that and applying it in a certain way, you're probably aiding and supporting your vision more, aligning it in a way, and then through these systems, what do these things are designed to do? I would say empower people, give the skills,
develop human beings. Exactly.
And when that happens, if the outcome is I feel good, I feel positive about these experiences, well, you're almost
again.
Right. So you're almost like tailoring the experience and kind of molding these generation of players.
Yes.
And that gets into things where we're talking about with, creating audiences and building up that audience. So instead of being like strategic around the types of portfolio games and all these other things and stuff, it's more about those particular types of experiences. You're training these player base, they're sharing everything, those experiences word of mouth. And then who knows, that can lead to pretty significant sustainability.
Do you think when they designed Oregon Trail, they were thinking about education? Probably.
Yeah.
Oregon Trail, because what is the purpose of Oregon Trail? It's to get across from Lewis and Clark's. Are you going to die? Do the players? I say to you, Oregon Trail today, you're probably going to go, I died of dysentery.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Or I died because I broke my leg fording across the river and I died. Or we ran out of, and you've got all these things. When they made that game, that was such a basic game. You're gonna make it or you're not, based on your responsible decision. Why are you buying 900 bullets? You only need again, do you think they probably weren't, but they were doing it naturally. The castle standards are naturally inclined to us. I just want people to be aware of what it is, because if you're purposeful in what you're doing, right, and you're like, hey, this target, I'm going to mold my future. It's just branding. From a YouTuber's perspective or a Twitch streamer, it's branding. I do a thing because the thing leads me to this group, which X, Y, and Z, and so on and so forth. Like, just be purposeful in what you're doing. And if you're aware of castle standards, you can talk to any educator. And there are a lot of them, and they all want to do something new. They don't want to do something, we're just going to pass this. Like,
right, because they're looking to connect with them too.
The generation of kids. Yeah. Why am I a teacher? To help kids become human beings. Yeah. That's the core answer. But generationally, the farther we go away from COVID, the more these kids are going to expect entertainment in a school district. as opposed to education. They need entertainment education. They need to want to like do it, because they could easily be on that iPad watching YouTube.
Yeah.
They don't have to listen to me.
Yep.
They can be, and it can all, so like, just be purposeful in what you're doing, and it'll result in positivity. You're going to score points. I'm saying.
Absolutely love this. This is so great. Well, Josh, I know that we're definitely here, on time here, but man,
is this on time? Is this right on time? Are we right on time?
No, but I mean, this has been great, seriously. And, for anyone who's interested in learning more, maybe they want to create an organization, a club for their local school for their kids or something, or maybe it's something they want to reach out to you because this idea of, hey, we are targeting a younger audience, or love this feedback. What are some links and ways that people can connect?
Yeah, at VGC USA on everything. We're at VGCU, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all TikTok, all of it. VGC USA. You know how hard it is to get the same brand on everything. I want you to know that. That is,
yes.
I learned that that's difficult.
And it's VGC USA.org, correct?
Yeah, VGCUSA.org.
Okay.
We also own .com, I believe, because it just forwards to .org.
Okay.
But .org, and because we are a 501c3, I would love and I'll give you full credit for this, I would love for an indie game developer to partner with us to help do something. I would love to be able to help you design something. I'm just throwing it at you. I have kids. Listen, there are kids all over this country who ask me I get emails all the time. Do you have any curriculum on game design? Or do you have any resources? How do I become a blah, 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 right? Yeah. Okay, cool. I'd love if you're of the mindset and you want to collab, I'm down. The more ridiculous, so you know who I am, the more ridiculous the thing is and unachievable, the more I want it to be a thing.
Love it.
That's just my personality. I'm an ENTP on Briggs Myers, if you know what that is. I'm a visionary dude. I need to be pushing. I'm not a guy, minutia kills me. So awesome. let's grind.
And on top of that too, I mean, how many organizations or clubs that are currently established roughly?
Yeah, we're in the thousands.
Yep.
We stopped counting because the businesses, the Fortune 500 companies want the actual like direct line to a kid, and I was like, that's kind of an unethical thing. I'm not. I'll put your stuff in my box, but I'm not going to give you. So we stopped counting because teacher turnover. Believe it or not, teacher turnover. So there was a club here, but there isn't because the teacher retired or the teacher moved to a new school district, so it became too hard to keep. But we're in thousands because we partner with esports orgs, states around the country. Lots of these esports organizations realize that the competitive game is only going to get them so far. They need the social gamer to be part of the group. And that's where our curriculums come in, because we complete the whole ecosystem of gaming. You know, at I had 120 kids in my club, only 30 of them played esports. So that meant 90. I had 3 times as many kids not playing esports as were playing esports. So what do you do with the 90? So that's what a lot of these esports organizations, these clubs around states are and the esports has blown up there because schools understand sports.
Yeah.
So it's easy. It's an easy sell. So that's what it is.
So folks, great opportunities here, interested in various ways. Again, VGC USA, and connect with Josh. So Josh, it has been a pleasure. Thank you so much for all this.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I got to go drive with my daughter now. So it's good times.
All right.
Thanks.
Hey everyone. Thank you for listening to another episode of Indie Game Movement. I'm Andrew Pappas, your host, and the show's producer is Mustafa Price. Show notes for this episode can be found by visiting rengenmarketing.com, the number episode of the show. Rengen Marketing is a consulting marketing company that helps indie devs with their marketing efforts. Whether you need guidance with your game's marketing strategy or could use a free marketing plan template, then please visit www.rengenmarketing.com and take action. A special thanks to Dakota Saw for Season 2's opening theme and Melissa Gellis for the new logo design. And as always, thanks for being such great listeners, and we'll see you next time on Indie Game Movement.